Welcome to my sewing journey. Today I am working on an autumn pumpkin towel design, which I will forewarn you didn't quite come out looking like a pumpkin the way I wanted it to. However, I'm going to go with this design and not redo it. What I did was I took the yellow fabric, which is the background fabric, and I cut a square about the size that I wanted, and this is a personal tasting how big you want your square. Next, I cut out pieces of fabric to make my pumpkin design, and I probably should have made it either a little wider or maybe more ridges in it or something, because to me it kind of looks like a deranged orange. But be as it may, we're going with it. And then I cut out a stem and a leaf, and I started to sew them onto the background fabric, starting with the pumpkin, and I stopped here, then put the stem in, and went on sewing a little bit more, then stopped here and put the leaf in, and then went on to do the side down here. Now you want to do these two because you want them underneath there, but if you like them over it, you could do it over it, but if you wanted it underneath, you would have to, when you're sewing it onto it, put it underneath there and then sew it on top of that. And then I sewed this on top of there. Now for this lovely little border, now I used all cotton for my fabrics, in case you were curious. For this lovely border here, I started by sewing it onto this first, and then I sewed it onto the towel with a zigzag stitch. You don't have to use a zigzag stitch. You could use a straight stitch, or you could use heat and bond and not have to sew it at all if you really aren't into sewing that much. I'm going to bring it in closer so you can see it. I did a zigzag stitch for the little veins in the leaf, because pumpkins have great big leaves. And that was pretty much all it did. There wasn't much going here for it, but you could use like a pear, or you could use an apple if you don't like pumpkins. You could do any fall design you want, like some pretty leaves would be nice, like 2 leaves and an acorn would be nice. And if you wanted to, you could trim the bottom of the towel with the same fabric that you use for the bias tape border. This was a fun project, and it did use up a lot of scraps. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you to all who watched and all who subscribed, and happy sewing!